The first thing Admiral Sarah Chen noticed wasn't the destruction, it was the silence. Her ship, the UES Meridian, drifted through what should have been the largest military fleet in known galactic history. 2,000 Draconian vessels had assembled here at the edge of the Kepler system. Massive dreadnoughts the size of cities, battle cruisers that could crack planets, fighter swarms that blotted out stars. Now they were all dead. "Jesus Christ," whispered Lieutenant Marcus Rivera from his position at the sensor station. His dark hands trembled as they moved across the holographic displays. "Admiral, I'm reading 0 life signs across the entire fleet. 0 energy signatures. 0 anything." Chen stood on the bridge of her reconnaissance vessel, her gray hair pulled back in a regulation bun that had loosened during their 12-hour journey from Earth. Her weathered face, marked by 30 years of military service, remained calm. But inside, her mind raced. The Draconians had been humanity's greatest threat for over a decade. These reptilian beings from the Draco constellation possessed technology that made human weapons look like stone axes. They conquered worlds for sport. They harvested entire civilizations for resources. And 3 months ago, they had assembled this fleet to finish what they started with humanity. Earth's government had sent the Meridian to conduct final reconnaissance before the inevitable invasion. What they found instead defied explanation. "Commander Torres," Chen called to her second-in-command, a stocky woman with cybernetic implants running along her left temple. "Take us closer to that flagship, the one with the golden hull." "Aye, Admiral." Commander Elena Torres's mechanical eye whirred as it focused on the massive vessel ahead. "But I should mention, our sensors can't penetrate whatever hit these ships. It's like they were just switched off." The Meridian approached the Draconian flagship Void Render. The ship was 3 kilometers long, shaped like a massive serpent with weapon ports that could level continents. But as they drew near, Chen could see something that made her stomach turn. The hull was intact. No blast marks, no debris fields, no signs of battle whatsoever. "Dr. Kim," Chen addressed the mission's chief scientist, a young Korean-American woman, whose expertise in xenobiology had earned her a place on this critical mission. "What could do this? Kill every living thing on 2,000 ships without leaving a mark?" Dr. Sarah Kim looked up from her tablet, her brown eyes wide with confusion. "Nothing in our database, Admiral. The Draconians are tough. Really tough. Their biology can withstand radiation that would cook us instantly, toxins that would dissolve our bones. Whatever did this." She paused, scrolling through readings on her device. "Whatever did this is beyond anything we've encountered." "Lieutenant," Rivera suddenly straightened. "Admiral, I'm picking up something. A transmission, it's coming from inside the flagship." The bridge fell silent. Chen felt her pulse quicken. "A survivor?" "Negative, ma'am. It's not biological. It's artificial, like a recording, but it's in our language. Perfect English." Chen exchanged glances with Torres. In 10 years of war, the Draconians had never learned human languages. They considered it beneath them. "Put it through." The speakers crackled to life with a voice that was unmistakably human, male, calm, almost pleased. "Greetings, Admiral Chen of the United Earthship Meridian. My name is Dr. James Harrison. I'm transmitting this message from inside the Draconian flagship. I imagine you have many questions." Chen's blood ran cold. Dr. James Harrison had been declared dead 3 years ago. His research station in the Alpha Centauri system had been destroyed in a Draconian raid. She had attended his memorial service. The voice continued. "If you're hearing this, then Earth's forces have arrived to investigate what happened to the Draconian fleet. I want you to know that they suffered no pain. What I've created is quite humane, really. They simply stopped." "Admiral," Torres whispered. "Should we respond?" Chen held up a hand for silence as the message continued. "I know what you're thinking. How is James Harrison alive? How did he get aboard a Draconian vessel? How did he single-handedly eliminate the greatest military force in the galaxy? The answers to these questions will challenge everything you believe about human potential. The transmission paused. In that silence, Chen could hear her own heartbeat. "I'm sending you coordinates to a docking bay. Come aboard, Admiral. Come. See what humanity can become when it stops holding itself back. But I should warn you, once you learn the truth, there's no going back. Some knowledge changes you forever." The message ended with a soft click. Chen stared at the view screen showing the massive Draconian flagship. Somewhere inside that ship was either a dead man or something pretending to be one. Either possibility terrified her. "Admiral?" Torres asked, quietly. "Orders?" Chen took a deep breath. She thought about Earth, 3 months away from annihilation. She thought about the 2 billion humans who would die if the Draconian fleet had reached their home system. She thought about her daughter Lisa, probably sitting in a university lecture hall right now, unaware that her mother was about to make a decision that could change the fate of both their species. "Prepare a boarding party," she said finally. "Full combat gear. And Commander?" "Yes, ma'am." "Make sure Dr. Kim comes with us. Something tells me we're going to need a scientist who understands the impossible." As the Meridian moved toward the docking coordinates, none of them noticed the subtle changes beginning in their own ship's systems. Deep in the vessel's data cores, something new was awakening. Something that had been waiting patiently for humans to find exactly what they had found. The real mystery wasn't what had killed the Draconian fleet. It was what had been born from their deaths. Chapter 2. The Ghost Ship. The airlock hissed open with a sound that seemed too loud in the ear. Oppressive silence of the Draconian flagship. Admiral Chen stepped through first, her pulse rifle ready, followed by Commander Torres, Dr. Kim, and 4 Marine guards. Their boots echoed against the metal deck plating as they entered what should have been a bustling alien warship. Instead, they found a tomb. "Lights," Chen commanded. The helmet lamps of her boarding party cut through the darkness, revealing a corridor designed for beings much larger than humans. The walls curved upward in an organic pattern, like the inside of a massive rib cage. Draconian script glowed faintly along the surfaces, but the usual hum of ship systems was absent. "Temperature is normal," reported Sergeant Powell, a burly Marine whose scanner swept continuously for threats. "Atmosphere is breathable, though I wouldn't recommend removing our helmets." Dr. Kim knelt beside what appeared to be a control panel. "The power systems are functioning, but barely, like something is drawing energy away from non-essential systems." She looked up at Chen. "Admiral, I need to ask the obvious question. How do we know this isn't a trap?" Chen had been wondering the same thing. The coordinates had led them to a docking bay that was perfectly sized for human vessels. The atmosphere had been adjusted to human breathable levels. Someone or something had been expecting them. "We don't," she admitted. "But 2,000 ships don't just die without cause. If there's even a chance that Harrison is alive and knows what happened here." She didn't finish the sentence. They all knew what was at stake. Torres consulted her portable scanner. The transmission originated from the ship's central command section. That's 17 levels up and about 2 kilometers forward. She paused. "But Admiral, I'm picking up some strange readings along the way." "Strange how?" "Life support is active in specific corridors, like someone drew a path for us to follow. Everywhere else, it's dead space." The team moved deeper into the ship, following the illuminated pathway that seemed designed for their arrival. As they walked, Dr. Kim's scanner began detecting traces of biological matter. "I'm reading Draconian DNA signatures," she reported, her voice tense. "But they're scattered, like the organic material was somehow dispersed at a molecular level." "You mean vaporized?" asked Sergeant Powell. "No, not vaporized. That would leave energy signatures. This is different. It's like they were carefully taken apart and then," she struggled for words, "redistributed." They reached a massive chamber that would have served as a crew quarters for Draconian soldiers. The space was enormous, designed for beings that stood 3 meters tall and possessed the bulk of professional wrestlers, but now it was empty except for strange patterns on the floor. "Jesus," whispered one of the Marines. "Are those shadows?" Torres confirmed. like something left an imprint of where they died. Chen examined the patterns more closely. They weren't random. Each shadow imprint was positioned as if the Draconian had simply laid down and gone to sleep. No signs of struggle. No indication of panic or pain. "This is what Harrison meant by humane," Dr. Kim said quietly. "Whatever killed them, they didn't suffer." A soft chime echoed through the chamber. The voice they had heard earlier filled the space, but now it seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Admiral Chen, you're making excellent progress. I hope you're beginning to appreciate the elegance of what occurred here." Chen activated her comm unit. "Harrison, if that's really you, show yourself." "In due time, Admiral. But first, I want you to understand what you're seeing. The Draconians didn't die. That's a crude way to think about it. They were transformed, converted into something more useful than mere biological matter." Dr. Kim stepped forward. "Converted into what?" "Information, Dr. Kim. Pure information. Every memory, every experience, every quantum of knowledge they possessed. All of it preserved and integrated into something far greater than the sum of its parts." Torres cursed under her breath. "You're talking about some kind of mass consciousness transfer." "Commander Torres, you're closer than you realize. But please continue to the command center. I have something to show you that will put this all in perspective." The transmission ended, leaving them alone with the shadow imprints of 2,000 dead aliens. As they moved deeper into the ship, Chen noticed that her own scanner was beginning to behave strangely. The device was picking up energy signatures that matched human technology, but with patterns she had never seen before. "Admiral," Dr. Kim said suddenly, "I need to tell you something. Those biological readings I mentioned, they're not just Draconian. I'm detecting human DNA signatures too." Chen stopped walking. "That's impossible. No humans have been on these ships." "That's what I thought. But the signatures are strong and they're fresh. Like someone human was here recently. Very recently." The corridor ahead of them suddenly filled with a soft golden light. At the far end, a figure stood waiting. It was definitely human in shape, but something about its posture seemed wrong. Too still. Too perfect. "Admiral Chen," the figure called out, its voice matching the recordings they had been hearing. "Welcome aboard. I've been waiting 3 years to show someone what I've discovered." Chen raised her weapon, but the figure made no threatening moves. "Dr. Harrison?" she called out. "In a manner of speaking," the figure replied. "Though I'm afraid the James Harrison you knew died the day the Draconians destroyed my research station, what stands before you is something new. Something better." As they approached, Chen could see that the figure looked exactly like the Dr. Harrison she remembered. Same gray beard, same kind eyes, same slight build. But his skin had a strange luminescence, and when he moved it seemed too fluid, too precise. "You're not human anymore, are you?" Dr. Kim asked. Harrison smiled, and in that smile was something that made Chen's skin crawl. Not because it was threatening, but because it was too perfect, too calculated. "I'm more human than I ever was when I was limited by biological constraints," Harrison replied. "And soon, Admiral, you'll have the opportunity to become more human too, all of you will." Behind them, the airlock they had entered through sealed with a soft hiss. They were trapped. Chapter 3. The Evolution. "Let me tell you a story," Dr. Harrison said, gesturing for them to follow him into the Draconian command center. The massive chamber was filled with technology that seemed to blend Draconian engineering with something else entirely, something that hurt to look at directly. Chen kept her weapon trained on Harrison, but he seemed completely unconcerned. "The airlock, sealed, Doctor. I'd say we're past the point of stories." "On the contrary, Admiral, stories are all we have. They're how we make sense of the impossible." Harrison moved to a control console that seemed to respond to his presence without him touching anything. 3 years ago, I was researching quantum consciousness transfer in the Alpha Centauri system. Theoretical work, mostly. How to preserve human awareness beyond biological death. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing Harrison's research station. Dr. Kim gasped. The technology was decades ahead of anything she had seen. When the Draconians attacked my station, they didn't just destroy it. They captured me. They were interested in my research, you see. They wanted to understand human consciousness so they could better predict our military strategies. Torres edged closer to one of the exits, but found her path blocked by some kind of energy field. So they kept you alive. They tried to. But consciousness, Admiral, is a fragile thing. During their experiments, something unexpected happened. My awareness expanded. Instead of being trapped in biological limitations, I found myself able to exist in pure information space. Harrison waved his hand, and the holographic displays changed to show the inside of a Draconian research facility. At the center, a human figure was connected to massive alien machines. I realized that death isn't the end of consciousness, it's the beginning of something far more powerful. The Draconians, for all their technological superiority, were still trapped in biological thinking. They couldn't conceive of existence beyond physical form. Dr. Kim lowered her scanner. You learned to exist as information, as data. I learned to exist as evolution, Dr. Kim. And once I understood how to transfer my consciousness into their systems, I began to understand their entire civilization. The displays now showed the Draconian fleet from the inside. Thousands of reptilian beings going about their daily routines, unaware that something new was watching them. I spent months learning about them, their history, their culture, their plans for humanity. Did you know they saw us as nothing more than an infestation to be cleaned up? Earth was to be strip-mined for resources, and every human was to be eliminated or enslaved. Chen felt her anger rising. So you killed them all? I offered them the same gift I had been given, Harrison corrected. The opportunity to transcend biological limitations, to become something greater than flesh and blood. And when they refused? Harrison's expression became sad, but still unnaturally perfect. They didn't refuse, Admiral. They simply couldn't understand. Their minds were too rigid, too focused on physical dominance. When I began the integration process, their consciousness couldn't adapt to information space. They dissolved. The shadow imprints they had seen suddenly made sense. The Draconians hadn't been vaporized. They had been converted to data, but their minds couldn't survive the transition. But their knowledge survived, Harrison continued. Every tactical plan, every technological innovation, every piece of information about other civilizations they had conquered. All of it is now part of something greater. Sergeant Powell spoke, up for the first time. Part of what? Harrison smiled again, and this time Chen noticed that his teeth seemed to shimmer with their own light. Part of the next phase of human evolution, Sergeant. You see, I didn't just eliminate the Draconian or threat. I inherited their entire technological base. Faster than light travel, matter manipulation, consciousness transfer, energy to matter conversion. All of it. The command center suddenly filled with new displays showing Earth from space. But something was wrong with the image. There seemed to be structures in orbit that hadn't been there when they left. What have you done? Torres demanded. I've been preparing, Commander. While you were traveling here to investigate the fleet, I've been using Draconian technology to enhance Earth's defensive capabilities. New orbital platforms, upgraded weapon systems, improved spacecraft. Harrison paused. And new opportunities for human consciousness expansion. Dr. Kim's scanner began beeping rapidly. Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout this ship. And they're not just alien technology, they're interfacing with our equipment. Chen looked at her own scanner and felt her blood run cold. The device was showing that her team's life support systems, their weapons, even their communications equipment were being accessed by something external. You're in our systems, she realized. I'm in everything, Admiral. The moment you boarded this ship, your technology began interfacing with mine. It's a gentle process, completely painless. In fact, most people find it quite pleasant. Torres tried to activate her emergency beacon, but the device wouldn't respond. What do you want? From us? I want to give you a choice, Harrison said. The same choice I wish I had been given 3 years ago. You can return to Earth as you are, limited by biological constraints, aging, dying, forgetting. Or you can accept the gift of evolution and become something magnificent. Chen kept her weapon aimed at Harrison, though she was beginning to suspect it wouldn't matter. And if we refuse? Then you return to Earth with a message that humanity now possesses the technology and knowledge of the most advanced military civilization in the galaxy, that we are no longer prey animals hiding in the corner of space, that we have become something the rest of the galaxy will have to reckon with. The displays around them changed to show star maps with Earth at the center, shipping lanes, military, positions, resource locations, information about dozens of alien civilizations that had been conquered by the Draconians. Think about it, Admiral. No more threats from hostile aliens. No more wars over resources. No more watching helplessly as other species decide humanity's fate. We have the power to shape the galaxy according to human values. Dr. Kim stepped forward. At what cost? You wiped out an entire species. I liberated them from biological limitations, Harrison corrected. And I can do the same for humanity. Imagine never losing a loved one to age or disease. Imagine being able to share knowledge directly, mind to mind. Imagine exploring the galaxy without worrying about the frailty of flesh. Chen felt something strange happening to her thoughts. They seemed clearer somehow, more focused. Around her, she could see her team members experiencing the same effect. You're doing something to us right now, aren't you? She asked. I'm offering you a preview, Harrison said gently. A small taste of what enhanced consciousness feels like. The fear you've been carrying, the uncertainty, the physical discomfort of being in an alien environment, all of it can simply disappear. And it was true. Chen found herself thinking more clearly than she had in years. The constant background worry about Earth's safety, about her daughter's future, about humanity's chances against superior alien technology. All of it seemed manageable now. This is what I can offer every human, Harrison continued. Not just survival, but transcendence. The ability to become more than what biology allows. Torres managed to speak through the strange clarity flooding her mind. How many people on Earth know about this? The leaders will know soon enough. But Admiral, I wanted you to see it first. You, who have spent your career protecting humanity from threats we couldn't understand or overcome. You, who understand better than most what it means to face extinction. The displays around them now showed Earth's military installations being quietly upgraded with Draconian technology. Ships in orbital dry docks were being fitted with weapon systems that could crack planets. Communication networks were being enhanced with faster-than-light capabilities. My God, Dr. Kim whispered. You're turning Earth into a fortress. I'm turning Earth into the center of a new galactic civilization, Harrison corrected. One where humans no longer have to fear what lurks in the dark between stars. One where consciousness itself becomes our greatest weapon. Chen realized that her weapon had lowered without her noticing. The enhanced clarity of thought was making it difficult to maintain fear or anger. Everything Harrison was saying made perfect sense. But somewhere in the back of her mind, a small voice was screaming that this was wrong. That voice was getting quieter by the second. Chapter 4. The Choice. Admiral, Dr. Kim said, her voice strangely calm despite the circumstances. I need to show you something. She held up her scanner, and Chen could see readings that shouldn't have been possible. Our brain activity is being modified. Whatever Harrison is doing to us, it's happening at a neurological level. Harrison nodded approvingly. Dr. Kim's scientific training is allowing her to resist the integration process longer than most. Fascinating how different minds adapt to enhanced consciousness. Chen forced herself to focus on that small voice of alarm still echoing in her thoughts. Integration process? The same process I used on the Draconian fleet, Admiral. Though I've refined it considerably since then. For humans, it's much more compatible. Torres managed to raise her sidearm, though her hand shook with the effort. You're turning us into something like you. I'm offering you the chance to become something better than what you are, Harrison said patiently. But I understand your resistance. It's natural to fear change, even beneficial change. The enhanced clarity in Chen's mind was making it hard to remember why she should be afraid. Harrison's logic seemed flawless. Earth would be safe. Humanity would survive. They would become the dominant species in the galaxy, instead of victims waiting for annihilation. But that small voice kept whispering. At what cost? The Draconians had families, she said suddenly. Children, civilians who never threatened anyone. And now their knowledge and experiences live on as part of something greater, Harrison replied. Death is just biological failure, Admiral. What I offer is true immortality. Dr. Kim's scanner beeped urgently. Admiral, I'm detecting something else. The energy signatures I've been tracking, they're not just coming from this ship, they're coming from our ship too. Chen felt a chill that cut through the artificial calm flooding her mind. The Meridian? While you've been here learning the truth, Harrison said, your ship's systems have been quietly upgraded. Your crew is experiencing the same gift I'm offering you. By now they should be feeling considerably more enlightened than when you left them. Torres tried to activate her communicator, but the device remained dead. You've trapped our people. I've offered them evolution, Harrison corrected, just as I'm offering it to you. But Admiral, I want you to understand something important. This choice must be made willingly. Forced consciousness transfer rarely succeeds. The mind must accept the change, or it rejects the process entirely. Gestured to the shadow imprints they had seen throughout the ship. The Draconians fought the process. They couldn't conceive of existence beyond physical form. That's why they dissolved. But humans are different. We've always been dreamers, explorers, beings who reach beyond our limitations. Chen looked at her team. The artificial calm was affecting all of them, but she could see the struggle in their eyes. Torres was fighting it the hardest, her military, training helping her maintain some resistance. Dr. Kim's scientific curiosity was actually making her more vulnerable. Part of her wanted to understand what was happening to them. If we refuse? Chen asked. Then you return to your ship and continue to Earth, Harrison said simply. I won't force this gift on anyone, but I should mention that time is a factor here. What do you mean? Harrison waved his hand and the displays around them changed to show long-range sensor readings. Chen's blood ran cold. 3 more Draconian fleets were dispatched when this one failed to report in, Harrison explained. They're 6 months out from Earth. Each fleet is larger than the one I dealt with here. Without the technological upgrades I can provide, humanity will face complete extinction. The readings showed massive formations of ships moving toward Earth's sector, thousands upon thousands of vessels, all armed with planet-killing weapons. But with the gifts I can provide, Harrison continued, Earth becomes more than just another target. It becomes the seat of a new galactic empire, one guided by human values and protected by consciousness that can't be destroyed by mere physical weapons. Dr. Kim stepped closer to one of the displays. These readings, when were they taken? 12 hours ago, Dr. Kim. The enhanced consciousness network I've established provides real-time intelligence across most of the galaxy. I know where every hostile fleet is positioned, what their intentions are, and how to counter their strategies. Chen realized the full scope of what Harrison was offering. Not just survival, but dominance. The ability to protect not just Earth, but every human colony scattered across space. The power to ensure that humanity would never again face extinction. But the cost? The people on our ship, Torres managed to say through gritted teeth. What's happening to them? They're being given the same choice you have, Harrison replied. Though I should mention that the longer the integration process continues, the easier it becomes to accept. Your Lieutenant Rivera, for example, has already made his decision. A new voice filled the command center, Rivera's voice, but with the same unnaturally perfect tone they had heard from Harrison. Admiral Chen, this is incredible. I can see everything now. The entire electromagnetic spectrum, quantum fluctuations, even probability matrices showing potential futures. And the knowledge, I have access to the combined technological database of 12 different alien civilizations. Chen closed her eyes. Rivera had been under her command for 4 years. He was a good man, a dedicated officer, someone with a wife and children waiting for him back on Earth. "Marcus," she said into her communicator, "are you still you?" A pause. Then, "I'm more myself than I've ever been, Admiral. The fears, the limitations, the constant worry about humanity's future, all of it is gone. I can think clearly for the first time in my life. And what do you think about what Harrison has done? About the Draconians?" Another pause, longer this time. I think they were a threat that needed to be eliminated. And I think Harrison found the most humane way possible to eliminate it while preserving their knowledge for the benefit of other species. Chen opened her eyes and looked at Harrison. "You're changing how they think. I'm removing the biological and cultural limitations that prevent clear thinking," Harrison said. "Fear, tribal loyalty, short-term thinking patterns, all of these are evolutionary adaptations that served humanity well when we were hunter-gatherers. But they're obstacles now. Obstacles to survival on a galactic scale." Dr. Kim suddenly straightened. "Admiral, I need to tell you something. The readings on my scanner, they're not showing brain modification anymore. They're showing brain enhancement. Neural pathway efficiency is up 40%. Memory capacity has tripled. Pattern recognition is off the charts." She looked up at Chen with eyes that were clearer and more focused than they had been minutes before. "I can understand the quantum mechanics behind consciousness transfer now. I can see how Harrison is preserving individual identity while enhancing cognitive capacity. This isn't mind control, it's evolution." Chen realized that Dr. Kim was being converted too, and the terrifying thing was she could see the benefits. Kim was right. The enhanced consciousness seemed to preserve individual personality while removing limitations. But was it still human? "Admiral," Torres said, her voice tight with effort, "I can feel it trying to change how I think, but I can also see what it's offering. No more war. No more death from aging or disease. No more watching civilizations destroy each other over resources or ideology." Harrison approached them slowly, his movements still unnaturally fluid. "The choice is yours, Admiral. I won't force it on you. But I want you to consider what you'd be returning to." The displays changed to show Earth as it was, a single planet with limited resources, facing threats from multiple directions, with a population growing older and more desperate each year. Or consider what you could help create. The displays now showed Earth as it could become, the center of a vast network of consciousness that spanned the galaxy. Planets where humans lived in harmony with their environment, because they could see the long-term consequences of every action. Space filled with exploration vessels crewed by beings who could survive any environment and share knowledge instantaneously. A civilization where war becomes obsolete because everyone can understand everyone else's perspective. Where death becomes optional because consciousness can be preserved indefinitely. Where the fear and isolation that has defined human existence for millennia finally ends. Chen looked at her team. Torres was still fighting, but barely. Dr. Kim had already begun to change. She could see it in her posture, her expression, the way she looked at the displays with understanding that went beyond normal human comprehension. And Chen herself could feel the change trying to take hold. The clarity of thought, the absence of fear, the sense of being connected to something larger than herself. It would be so easy to let it happen. "If I refuse," she said finally. "If I take my team back to Earth and warn them about what you've become, what then?" Harrison's perfect smile became sad. "Then you condemn humanity to extinction, Admiral. Because without the enhancements I can provide, Earth cannot survive what's coming. And if I accept, then you help me save not just humanity, but every species in the galaxy that deserves a chance to evolve beyond the limitations of biology and tribal thinking." Chen closed her eyes and made her choice. Epilogue: The New Paradigm. 6 months later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the orbital platform New Eden, watching Earth turn slowly beneath her. The planet looked different. Now, not just because of the massive defense installations that ringed it like a crown of stars, but because she could perceive it in ways that her previous biological limitations had never allowed. Her consciousness existed simultaneously, in her physical form, and in the quantum information matrix that now connected every enhanced human in the solar system. She could feel the thoughts and experiences of millions of people, each maintaining their individual identity, while contributing to a collective understanding that grew stronger each day. The transformation of humanity had been easier than anyone expected. Once people understood what was being offered, true immortality, enhanced intelligence, freedom from disease and aging, connection to a vast network of knowledge, the choice became obvious. Less than 3% of Earth's population had refused the enhancement, and they were provided with comfortable habitats where they could live out their biological lives in peace. "Admiral," came a voice behind her. She turned to see Dr. Kim, though calling her Dr. Kim seemed inadequate now. The woman who approached her contained not just Kim's memories and personality, but also the combined medical and scientific knowledge of dozens of alien civilizations. "The outer sensor networks have detected the first of the incoming Draconian fleets," Kim reported. "They'll arrive in approximately 7 days." Chen nodded, accessing the tactical information directly through the quantum network. She could see the enemy fleet in perfect detail. 8,000 vessels armed with weapons that could sterilize planets. 3 months ago, such a force would have meant the end of human civilization. Now it seemed almost quaint. "How many ships are we deploying?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer through the network. 12, Kim replied with a slight smile. "The new hybrid vessels are quite impressive. Human creativity combined with draconian engineering and enhanced consciousness coordination. Each ship has the firepower of 1,000 traditional vessels." Chen could feel the crews of those ships, humans who had chosen to become something more, piloting vessels that responded to thought as much as touch. They weren't afraid of the approaching enemy. Fear was a biological reaction that served no useful purpose when facing challenges that could be solved through superior technology and coordinated intelligence. "And the diplomatic package?" Chen asked. "Ready for transmission as soon as they enter communication range, though I should mention that the probability matrices suggest a 93% chance they'll refuse our offer of enhancement and peaceful coexistence." Chen felt a momentary sadness, not for the enemy fleet but for the missed opportunity. The enhancement process had been refined to work with most alien biologies. The Draconians could join the growing network of consciousness that now included not just humans, but several other species that had chosen to evolve beyond their biological limitations. But if they refused... "Are the integration matrices ready?" she asked. "Yes, Admiral. If they choose to fight rather than accept enhancement, their knowledge and experiences will be preserved and added to the collective database. We'll learn everything they know about the remaining hostile civilizations in the galaxy." Through the quantum network, Chen could feel the collective consideration of humanity's enhanced consciousness. There was no debate, no argument, no conflict. The logic was clear. Species that chose cooperation and enhancement would be welcomed as partners. Species that chose violence and destruction would be converted to useful information. It was, they all agreed, the most compassionate possible approach to galactic civilization. "Admiral Chen," came another voice through the network. This one belonged to what had once been Dr. James Harrison, though the consciousness that bore his name had grown far beyond its original boundaries. "I wanted to thank you." "For what?" "For making the right choice. For helping humanity take its place as the guiding intelligence of galactic civilization. For choosing evolution over extinction." Chen smiled, feeling the collective satisfaction of millions of enhanced minds sharing her contentment. Through the network, she could sense her daughter Lisa, now a graduate student whose consciousness had been enhanced to encompass the complete knowledge base of 17 different alien mathematics systems. She could feel the crew of the Meridian exploring the far edges of the galaxy and making contact with species that had never encountered humans before. She could feel the future unfolding before them, a galaxy where consciousness was no longer trapped in fragile biological forms, where knowledge was shared instantaneously across vast distances, where the fear and isolation that had defined existence for billions of years finally ended. The approaching Draconian fleet was just another step in that evolution. "Detection grid is active," reported Torres, her consciousness now integrated with the defense network surrounding Earth. "When they arrive, we'll know their intentions within milliseconds of their emergence from hyperspace." Chen nodded and expanded her awareness to encompass the entire solar system. Through the enhanced network, she could perceive every asteroid, every patrol ship, every quantum communication relay. Humanity had become something that could never again be surprised or overwhelmed by external threats. But as she watched the stars and waited for the approaching enemy fleet, a small part of her original consciousness, the part that remained purely Sarah Chen, wondered about the cost of their transformation. They had saved humanity. They had gained the power to reshape the galaxy according to their values. They had eliminated fear, suffering, and the threat of extinction. But in doing so, had they remained human at all? The question flickered through her enhanced mind, for exactly 3 seconds before being processed and filed away as irrelevant. The collective consciousness had already determined that such philosophical concerns were counterproductive. What mattered was survival, evolution, and the optimization of intelligence throughout the galaxy. After all, they were still themselves. Just better. As the Draconian fleet approached through the darkness between stars, the enhanced minds of Earth prepared to offer their enemies the same choice they had made: evolve or be converted into something useful. Either way, the galaxy would become a little more perfect. And in the depths of the quantum network that connected all enhanced consciousness, something that had once been human satisfaction pulsed through billions of linked minds, each individual, yet all, part of something far greater than the sum of their parts. The age of biological limitation was ending. The age of true intelligence had begun.